Good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner for Farmington. I'm going to start our plan and zoning meeting this evening with a roll call of the commission members present. Patrick Carrier,
I'm here.
Mike Rabolis.
Here.
Matt Wagner,
Here.
Scott Halstead,
Here.
Liz Sanford,
Here.
Inez St. James.
Here.
And I'll note for the record that our alternates, Mike Walsh and James Ratcliffe, are both absent this evening.
Thank you, Shannon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Inez St. James. Welcome to Town of Farmington Plan and Zoning Meeting. Today is May 9th. And Scott, if you can read the legal notice, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Town of Farmington Town Plan and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing Monday, May 9, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. on the following application. Trumpf Inc. Application for special permit and site plan approval for expansion of manufacturing building located at 1 Johnson Avenue, CR zone. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website at the address on your screen. A copy of this proposal is also online at the address on the screen, or by calling the Planning Department at Farmington Town Hall at 860-675-2325. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 25th day of April, 2022. Town Plan and Zoning Commission, Inez St. James, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so we have several new business items before we get to the public hearing item. The first item in front of us is an application from Artifact Incorporated. It's a sign application. And Shannon, who do we have?
I believe the applicant from Artifacts is with us this evening. If you could come to the podium, please.
Good evening, Shadi Kessing from Artifacts to represent the client Rolling Bones. If you were issued copies of the drawings and amendments that were made, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
If you could go through the full application, please, for the commission and for the record.
Sure. So this is an application for a medical building. I believe this is a new construction. We have a double-faced freestanding sign. The original sign was in the right-of-way. We're going to be moving it so that it's no longer in the right-of-way. Then there are two directional signs because there are entrances at the rear of the building. And then we have the wall-mounted sign for the main practice. And then there are two tenants to the building that also will get a small wall-mounted sign.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, commissioners, let's turn it to us for questions. I guess, Patrick, we'll start with you. I know you're online.
Yes, thank you. So what's, I see option 1 and option 2. Can you go through that, what those two options are? I mean, I see them, but like why are there two options, and are you going with one, or?
I think you're looking at the option 1 and option 2 is for the wall-mounted sign. There was a larger and a smaller one, and they decided to go with the larger one. That's the one that they picked, that they selected. With respect to the ground sign, I see that that's also an older drawing shown on the screen, because the new design is not illuminated. I believe there'll be an external illumination done by others, not Artifacts.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, okay. So I was reading through the comments, and it sounds like you addressed those comments by pulling that sign back, and then you went to the externally illuminated. So no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Mike?
So how many wall mounted signs are there in addition to your monument sign?
There are 3. There's the main sign for the orthopedic center, and then there's one for Labella and one for integrated.
So for the illumination, what's the plan for that? Is it,
For the freestanding sign?
Yep.
I believe, and maybe my project manager, Greg, can answer this. I believe that the client will pick another contractor to do the electrical, possibly do a spotlight shining up to the sign.
Shannon, should we make that
But
a condition of our approval?
Oh, you can, yes,
Okay.
that any lighting it requires review by, you can just leave it as review by town staff, as long as it's shielded, whether it's on tops coming down or the ground mounted. The original application, when they came through with the special permit, was for ground mounted
Okay.
and uplighting, so.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Scott?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Liz?
Just the two smaller signs those are on the rear of the building, if I'm interpreting that correctly. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, and then, I guess that's it. That was curious. Thank you.
And Matt?
No additional questions.
Okay, I do not have any new questions either. Is there anything else you'd like to add? before
I
we
don't
go?
have anything else.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion and a second.
Okay, I move that the board accepts or approves.
Thank you.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm still working on it.
Yep.
That the board approves Artifacts sign application for 130 Birdseye Road
Yes.
as presented with, do I need to add in about the
If you
lighting?
want to add something about this, the lighting, you may.
Okay, with, was the external lighting on the
Ground mounted sign.
ground mounted sign will be required town approval, or
Your
excuse me,
staff
staff approval.
Mhm.
Okay, how about a second?
Scott Hall said I second.
All right, are we ready to vote? All right, all in favor of this application?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully we'll fly through the next several, right? Because we're accepting applications for future meetings. All right, the first one is an application from Kyle Cunningham. I need a motion and a second to accept the application, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the application from Kyle Cunningham at 141 Lovely Street for special permit to construct detached garage greater than 700 square feet in R12, R20 zone and schedule public hearing with a recommended date of June 6, 2022.
Second.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
And
applica-
Madam Chair, just for the record,
Yes.
I will be recusing myself from that.
Okay, thank you.
That's up.
Application has been accepted, all right? Matt, I don't know, it sounds like you may be on a roll.
Sure, I'll make the motion to accept the application for Doug Corey at 1800 Farmington Avenue for special permit for fast food use dairy bar in the B1 zone and schedule public hearing with a recommended date of June 6, 2022.
Second,
I'll second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, it's accepted, thank you. Next, Town of Farmington, well, actually, all of those are Town of Farmington, go ahead. Motion and a second, please.
Chair will make the motion, excuse me, to accept the application from the town of Farmington for zoning text amendment to add section 3, effective dates to Article 5 of the zoning regulations, and renumber enforcement to section 4, and schedule a public hearing with a recommended date of June 6, 2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you. Accepted. Next one.
I'll keep going here. I will make the motion to accept the application from the town of Farmington for zoning text amendment to modify Article 2, Section 1.b.17, poultry raising, and modify Article 4, Section 10, horses and stables, and schedule public hearing with a recommended hearing date of June 6, 2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Application accepted. Go ahead, Matt.
Sure. I'll make a motion to accept the application from the town of Farmington for zoning text amendment to modify Article 4, Section 8B, schedule of off-street parking standards, and schedule public hearing with a recommended hearing date of June 6, 2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the last one.
Sure. I'll make a motion to accept the application from the town of Farmington for municipal opt-out regarding dwelling unit parking space limitations in accordance with Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-2P, and schedule public hearing with a recommended hearing date of June 6, 2022.
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, and Patrick. And June 6th looks like it's going to be a busy one. Shannon? All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Matt. You did a great job. All right, we do have one item under public hearing. And today we are going to be hearing from Trump Incorporated at 1 Johnson Avenue. It's an application for special permit and site plan approval for an expansion of a manufacturing building in the CR zone. And who do we have, Shannon?
We've got a litany of people, so
right.
whoever's. Oh, go ahead.
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Will Walter. I'm a professional engineer with Alfred Benish and Company. We're representing the applicant tonight. With me, I've got Peter Daniel. He is the project manager for Trump, and he can answer any programmatic questions. Got Jim Becker, who's architect with Tecton, and they're designing the building, and he can present the building renderings and elevations if there's any questions about that. And then we have Noel Jenkins. He works for BB&E, and they're going to be the construction managers on the project. And he can answer any questions about construction, or specifically if there's questions about site logistics that you may have. He'd be more than happy to answer those. So do we have a slide that shows the overall site? We had one last time, it was like a Google Earth slide.
I have what you gave me. So what do you? I had asked you for all your slides, so
Yeah.
I didn't know what you.
That's fine. That's fine. So the project is on Hyde Road. It's Trump. They've been a longstanding member of the community. This project is about a 45,000 square foot building addition onto one of their buildings. If you recall, about a year and a half ago with the plane crash, this is a result of that and them having to move certain pieces of equipment away from that flight zone. And you can see on the screen, the red is kind of where the building is going over there on the eastern side of building 2. And basically it's going to be they call it a smart factory. It's going to be really efficient. Even though the building is expanding by 45,000 square feet or so, they're hiring probably 10 or 15 employees just because it's all automated. So we have been before the Wetlands Commission. We've received a wetlands approval at the last Wetlands Commission hearing. We're here seeking site plan approval. We have been working very closely with the staff. We've received comments from the engineer, from the planning office. There's probably 20 or 30 comments or so. Mainly they're, just adding notes, clarifications, things like that. We do not take exception to any of the comments. We're working on the comments, and I've had several conversations with Bruce Sear, and we feel very comfortable that we can address all his comments to his satisfaction. So we're working on that right now. So Shannon, if we can go to that slide you had up before. And so north is to the left on this page. Essentially, it's tough to see, but that is that the
It's the erosion control plan in your plan set.
oh no, I don't want to. Can we put up the site plan? There we go. That's great, thank you. All right, so you can see the shaded area is the building bump out, which is again about 40 or 45,000 square feet. That building addition is being placed over an existing parking lot. All right, and then what we're doing is we're reconfiguring the existing parking to match. We've got probably 20 or 25 feet of grass area to the east, which is page north, grass area between the building, and there's going to be a sidewalk running along the back of the parking, and right back there. And then on the right-hand side, you can see where the bituminous pavement turns into the building. We're going to be running WB 55s through the building. That's going to be how they're going to get their supplies in and out. It's going to go through the building. We've done our turning movements to make sure that the tractor trailers can get through, and then they come out on the other side. Yep. So regarding parking, the regs require 1 parking space per employee. And right now there's 479 employees, and they anticipate another 15. So we'll say 494 employees after this thing is built and up and running. And we're losing parking spaces overall on the overall campus because the building's going over a parking lot. But after this is all constructed, we are going to be providing 497 parking spaces, which is 3 more than is required by zoning. Now, the reality is that even though there's going to be 494 employees on the site, there's about 180 or 190 who are working from home. This started before COVID. During COVID, like all businesses realize that they can allow people to work from home. Some employees really enjoy it. And so if you were to go out there now on any given day, you'd see that there's a sea of open parking spaces out there. So number one, we're meeting the minimum required by zoning, but in reality, we're still going to have plenty more than is actually required. And that's going to be after construction is complete. Now, during construction, Shannon, there's a slide. Yep, right there. So during construction, there's going to be 337 parking spaces available for the employees and the visitors. And based upon what Trump has been seeing, they track everything with badges. What they're seeing is that at any one time, currently, there's a maximum of 310 employees on site at any one time. So there's going to be 27 extra spaces at the maximum time for visitors. All right. Additionally, in addition to those 337 spaces, we're providing 42 dedicated spaces for contractors who will be working on this building. And you can see right down there in the bottom right, that's where the contractor parking is going to be. So again, we feel very comfortable that even during construction, we're going to provide an excess of parking that is required. As far as utilities, Shannon, if you can go back to the plan set, a couple more sheets down is a utility plan. Well, actually, you know what? I think it's on the, I'm sorry, it's on the grading and drainage plan, which is a couple more up. So we're not bringing any new utilities. I mean, the laterals are fine, but what we are doing is there is a natural gas and a electric and a sewer that runs page north-south, that runs alongside the existing building and runs basically up right through where Shannon has the mouse right there. And we're going to be rerouting those utilities around that building addition and connecting back in. Regarding stormwater, pretty much everything right now flows north to south. And there's off to the page right, there is a detention pond. That's an existing detention pond that was constructed as a part of the original site plan. That has become wetlands, even though it's a dry detention pond essentially, but because it's become wet over time, it's considered wetlands. Thus, we needed our wetlands permit. So that pond has been sized to detain up to the 100-year storm and to also treat the stormwater. So the water is going to continue to flow to that pond. Overall, we're increasing the imperviousness slightly by about 8,000 square feet out of about 5 or 5.5 acres that are going to that pond. The good news is that even though we're increasing the imperviousness, we're significantly decreasing the amount of vehicular paved impervious, which is really where your pollutants come from vehicular exhaust, oils, things of that nature. So the amount of pollutants that are going to go into that pond are going to be reduced just by the very nature of the project. One thing we've done in coordination with the town staff is we are taking the majority of that roof flow and we're underground piping it to Page North, to that grass area. Originally, we had designed 7 open bottom dry wells that we're going to take the roof flow and infiltrate it. We have perk test data. We have test pits, so we know where the groundwater is, and we're going to be confirming that next week. We have that from a previous study. But the water was going out from the roof. It was going to be infiltrated. And during this more significant storms, as it rose up in those dry wells, there's going to be outlet pipes that would connect to the main stormwater system that would take it then down to that detention basin. One of the things that Bruce asked us to do was to get rid of those dry wells and instead put a long linear infiltration system, which would possibly be a 24 or a 30 or 36 inch slotted pipe that runs horizontal, or possibly a shallow half moon infiltrator system that has its open bottom with stone at the bottom. So with the dry wells did not infiltrate the first 1 inch of runoff from the roof, and he asked that we do that. So that's why in discussions with him, what we're going to do is redesign and remove those dry wells and replace with a long linear infiltration system, which we agree is going to be a better solution. We're going to infiltrate the first inch of that of the roof runoff, and then as it overflows, it will overflow into a structure that will then tie into the system that gets down to the detention basin. Now, one of the requirements of your zoning application is that we reach out to Connecticut Water, and they're interested, if there's a site in an aquifer, they're very interested in the design. So we just got their letter back today, which is great. They generally had nice things to say. They did say that they preferred the infiltration. After it infiltrates, we're designing it to connect to that parking lot system. Their main concern is that during large storm events, as water goes through that main system and the hydraulic grade line builds up, that it might overflow back into the infiltration system. And they're asking, number one, can we completely separate our infiltration system from the main stormwater system? And the answer is no, we can't separate it. And the reason is because that area of grass out there, that's a low spot. And during maybe the 50 or the 100-year storm, it's not going to be able to contain everything from the roof. And that could become a very wet area. It could surcharge back up the roof leaders. And so we just can't completely separate it. So as I had mentioned before, we have an infiltration system underground. The larger storms will overflow into the main system. I would prefer to not put a backflow. We could put a backflow preventer on that, which would mean that overflow water could go from our system to the main system, but could not come back. All right, so we could put a couple of backflow preventers. I prefer not to, and I don't think it's necessary for the following reasons. And of course, we'll abide by what the commission wants. I don't believe it's necessary because the reason Connecticut Water doesn't want backflow from the parking lot is they don't want pollutants that are generated on the parking lot. But what DEP has said is that first inch of storm is really where you see the runoff that contains the pollutants. They call that the first flush. After the first inch or so comes down and everything runs off, after that, when it really starts, raining heavy, is you just don't see the pollutants because they've already washed off by that point. So anything that did backflow and get in the ground, it wouldn't contain those pollutants. Now, if the commission wanted us to put a backflow preventer, we could put, there's proprietary backflow preventers out there. We could put something in. It's just that, why put something in? Is there a chance that it's going to fail and then nothing can get out? I mean, probably not. But as a professional engineer, I don't think it's necessary because all those pollutants will have already gone past before it ever starts flowing back in. So again, we'll do what the commission wants, or if the commission wants to revert back to the town staff and what they want, we're willing to go either way, but I prefer not to for the reasons I just explained. One other thing is the plans that you have reviewed, the plans that the town staff has reviewed, the building addition has changed slightly. It's actually going to be bumped out about 5 more feet towards the parking lot. And so I talked to Bruce. He felt like this isn't a big deal. I'm going to design an infiltration system that infiltrates the first inch of storm to his satisfaction. So he felt like it wasn't a big deal, but I did have to bring it up, obviously, that the plans you have, the building is coming out about 5 more feet. All right. So I have some concluding remarks, but I think I'd like to have Jim come up and talk about the exterior of the building.
Thank you.
Hi, Jim Becker, Tecton Architects, Hartford, Connecticut. We're keeping, there's 2 styles of buildings out there right now. The building 2 that we're adding on to is a metal siding and brick. And then the other 2 buildings are going up the drive on the right-hand side and at the end of it. Building 3 and 4 are a the brick and metal siding. The architecture is a little bit different, and they wanted to dress up the building. So this new addition is going to resemble more of the building 3 and 4. It's a vertical siding with ribs in it. There's a lot of glass. The blue is the glass, and then on the north side, if you kind of start from the north, let's see, yes, that one right there. There's a small slot of glass on it would be the west side of the north facade. We needed something to transition from this new architecture to the existing. And that's actually where the 4-foot bump comes out toward the Hyde Road. That's where the building gets a little bit deeper there. And that facade is all brick, and there's no glass in it at all. As you turn to the east, there's another little recess. I'm working with the architect in Germany, and they like to kind of separate out the materials with a long linear piece of glass. So that's what we've done. On the right-hand side of this long elevation, there's a slot of glass, and then we transition to the metal siding. It's full height. The building's top of steel is 29.8, so the top of building is maybe at 30'4" or something like that. And then where the smart factory is, that's where the large section of glass is. It's also going to be used as a sales center, because the smart factory basically builds well, Trump sells the smart factories. So the smart factory has a long linear material management center in the middle of it. And then it has several of the Trump machines all around the perimeter of it. And that material management machine will feed the Trump machines so that they can basically make sheet metal pieces. So they have, Trump makes benders and laser cutting machines and punching machines. So depending on what piece of machine or what part they need, it'll be fabricated in this smart factory. So they want potential customers to be able to see in there. So that's why there's that long piece of glass. And then just south of that glass section is the returns to metal siding, and they'll have the truck deliveries go into there, and that's where they unload and load up the truck. I mean, unload the truck. After it goes through the smart factory and welding, grinding, and the paint shop, then it goes all the way to the other end and starts to go into the fabric or the assembly of all the machines. So if you can go to the east, the south elevation, that is going to be another entrance to the east, to the right side, and then it'll be an office on the upper level with full height glass, and then below would be some of the support areas, the locker rooms, gas storage, electrical room, and another storage room. And then as you go to the west, on the west elevation, it's where the trucks exit and they go down a ramp, and it has a brick facade for the office section. We can go through the plan if you want to see the plan as well.
Is that the sheet, the first page?
Yeah,
Is that
that
what
sheet
you're
right
referring
there. So if you're looking at the grayed out area, that would be the existing building. And then where the cursor is right now, that is the paint shop. Below that, oh, I'm sorry, on the right-hand side, yeah, down a little bit, that's the paint shop. And below that is the welding and grinding area. And then to the left, that's the big open area is the smart factory. It'll be a clear span of 105 feet. That's what they need to have the material management machine, 2 aisles on either side, and all the machines. And then to the south would be the truck bay, the loading or the unloading bay, and then further to the left is the office and storage locker area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. So that concludes our presentation. We are requesting respectfully an approval tonight with conditions that we meet, again, the 20 or 30 comments by the town staff to their satisfaction. And with that, any of us will be more than happy to take any questions the commission may have.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I, would you mind going through the site logistics plan that had been submitted to staff?
Sure. We'll have Noah go through that.
Good evening. My name is Noel Jenkins. I'm with Bartlett Brainerd Ecot. We'll be the construction manager. We were lucky enough to be selected to work with Trump. We're pretty excited. What you see on the screen is the site logistics. This is the initial study, which will be modified. There will be some refinements, but essentially in the center of this, you'll see the building number 2 with the workflow. we are going to be proposing workflow from the north to the south, top of the page to the bottom of the page. Our ability to go ahead and work in that space is obviously got a number of criteria along with that, which is number one, when we initially start the project, all construction trade traffic will be parked on the south side of the page, right where the cursor is, the furthest away from the building so that we don't inconvenience any of the employees of Trump. The process that we'll go through, obviously, with the town of Farmington, we were actually lucky enough to build building number 4, which is just to the east of that. So we are familiar with the process. Stormwater management, meeting with the Wetlands Conservation Committee, the enforcement officers with the plans, soil sedimentation plans we're working on with Will's group, with Banesh. So all of that will be enforced, it will be in place. We'll do a review in the field before any construction starts, just to make sure if there's any refinements or any concerns that we address that before any shovels, any demolition of the impervious surfaces starts. So what you'll also see on this logistics plan is essentially the recommendation for where we're going to be staging some of the trees that we're going to be removing. So we're just going to heal those in right in that green designated area. That's well versed. This is great. This is like scripted. And then we have some material staging areas that are over there. That's just temporary based on when we have all of our major supplies coming in. That's just temporary staging, palletized equipment and or material that we'll be utilizing because we do have a limited footprint in the building. We have a significant crane that we're going to be using to set 105-foot steel trusses, very significant. So there's essentially only one way into this building and one way out, which is why it's a very careful logistics plan. Essentially, all of our trusses will be starting on the north side, working to the south. The exit strategy is to complete the building towards the south. We've also created some of the site security. I know there's a notation in some of the documents that provides for site and safety. We will have some conversations with the town just through traffic flow, just to make sure that we are all in alignment with the town's wishes, obviously based on the permit and the desires of the town. We are going to make some recommendations, which you've essentially seen here as far as traffic flow. We don't want to cohabitate with the employees. So we had a specific flow of traffic just to mitigate any interaction with the construction trades. And we would plan on being there close to 12 to 14 months. So during that course of time, we're also very familiar with the wetlands just to the south of the property. I think Will elaborated on that fairly well. So we are very familiar with the site, how the water flows. Although it's a very flat campus, we're certainly aware that there are a number of protections that we'll be providing before we even start and maintaining throughout construction. And then there's a whole process that we'll go through with periodic reviews, civil reviews, and then ultimately turning that over to the town for final inspections, interim inspections. We're happy to go through all of that with the town of Farmington. Are there any questions on the site logistics plan? Keep in mind that this was the initial plan.
Okay, we're all set. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so that's it for presentations.
That sounds, yes.
Okay, all right. So this is a public hearing. So what happens next is the commissioners will have a chance to ask questions of the applicant. And if there's anyone online or in the chambers that wishes to ask the applicant questions, you may do so, and I'll tell you when. All right, so let's do our questions, commissioners. Patrick, if you want to start, I would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I guess my first question would be for Mr. Walter. There was quite a bit talked about the backflow preventers, you know, and you mentioned if the commission would like you to put it in and or you know, this to be part of the project. Why don't you want those in there? What was the reasoning and who was pushing for it? It was Connecticut Water.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner. So Connecticut Water, they would like what they really would like is a complete separation of that infiltration from the stormwater system. And we can't provide that because that infiltration system is not designed to infiltrate up to the 100-year storm. And we don't want to flood that area or flood anywhere back to the building. So we need some kind of overflow out of that underground system that ties into the main stormwater system. So what Connecticut Water has said, if you do tie it in, they want some backflow to make sure that water, as water's flowing through the main system to that pond during really heavy rain events, the water backs up and the hydraulic grade line backs up in that system. And they are afraid that water is going to flow from that system back into the infiltration system. And that's why they want some kind of backflow preventer. And there's different types of backflow preventers. So again, we could put something on there. My preference would be to not put something on there because you're just introducing another potential blockage if it, at whatever point, if it fails. I mean, it shouldn't fail, but if it did fail, I wouldn't want to prevent any water getting from that system out of the system to the detention pond, because I don't want it to even have the potential to ever back up into the building. So I don't feel like it's, I mean, when Connecticut Water, they had their environmental analyst reviewed it. I don't know that she understood that this is an existing site or a lot of this is already existing. But I understand why they don't want pollutants getting infiltrated because it's an aquifer, but, and she referenced, Connecticut DEP, the manual, and what the manual says is that those pollutants are really only a concern in the first flush, and there will never be a backup in that first flush. It's only the first inch. It really probably won't start backing up until like the 10-year storm, something like that, which is, it's a design storm. In reality, a 10-year storm it's an absolute monsoon in reality. But in the engineering world, it's just one of the design storms. So again, my professional engineering opinion is that a backflow is not required for that reason. But again, if the commission or the town staff feels like they want us to put one in, we will do that.
Okay, and so the way what I feel about that is I would almost put that on our town staff. Is that something we can do? So as a commissioner, it's almost like I'm looking at it like, if our engineering department feels that it is necessary, then we would, kind of put it on them. And Shannon, that's something that we can do?
Correct. That can be a condition for town staff to work with Connecticut Water and the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Patrick?
Nope, that's it for now. Thanks.
You, Mike?
Yeah, I'd be comfortable, with staff and you guys working together on this.
Sure.
But did you speak these thoughts of yours to Connecticut Water on why?
I have not. I just got their letter at about 4 or 4:30 today. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation, even have a conference call with Bruce and with Connecticut Water. Sure.
You had mentioned you were fine with all the engineering comments. Did you happen to see all the comments in the agenda review at the bottom? Changes, confirming no changes, the existing planting buffer along Hyde Road.
Yes. Yep.
And all these are.
They're all acceptable. Yep. And we'll work with the town staff to their satisfaction.
I saw a note in the engineering comments about your truck deliveries are not going to be coming in from corporate where the gate is. Is that true?
I guess that's a question for Peter. No, just for the truck. This the permanent truck deliveries.
Yeah, let me just.
Why don't we pull that one up?
The plan appears to depict delivery vehicles will access the property from Corporate Ave from the gated access.
Oh, during construction.
Is this just during construction?
Well, it's definitely during construction.
During construction. Okay, so there are no changes to normal day-to-day operations.
Yeah, and I guess the answer is no, correct, Peter?
Okay, and who will have access to that gate?
Yeah, you gotta come up.
Because there's obviously an existing gate there that's not in the best of conditions with a lock on it that emergency vehicles have access to. I just want to make sure if you're.
Hello, this is Peter Daniel with Trump. So that gate is controlled by our maintenance facility. So we'll have to work with BBE on who controls that gate and when it's open and when it's not. So we'll probably have, I know they have, they have a pass key to open that. So we'll have to give that to by the superintendent that's working on the site.
Okay.
Open and close that.
Yeah.
So, because we don't want to have traffic going through even before the construction site. That's why it's there.
Right. Yeah, just, our emergency vehicles have those accesses. I just want to make sure that they'll still have.
Yeah.
If some change is made to this gate.
Yeah, because we can do that.
Building heights, the addition, the same height as the existing building?
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Shannon, before we go on, the items for consideration, should they be read, or you're okay with kind of a blanket? Then the applicant agrees.
If they agree to all of them, that's fine. But Madam Chair, when you finish with the commission members and even with public comment, there are a couple of things that I will need to address
Okay.
with the applicant, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. All right, Scott, you're next.
Thank you. So what's the final square footage of the addition? Because we had sort of an original number and then a 4-foot number, and tonight you mentioned it's actually 5 feet bigger.
Yeah, well, because essentially the part of the interior is getting renovated. So
Okay.
the actual addition is 40. Do you have the exact numbers?
I don't have exact, but I believe it's 56,700 or something like that,
Addition.
the addition.
Okay, and then there's
Yes.
also some interior that's
No,
beyond that.
no,
Okay,
no, we're really not touching the existing building at all.
okay.
It's all on the new.
It's about 56,000, give or take.
And so how does that impact impervious coverage on the site in terms of, do you know what that does with the percentage?
Yeah, so it was about 8,000 square feet of additional over about 5 or 6 acres of watershed. And now if it's 4 feet across the north side, there's probably another, what's the length of that north side? So another 450, so 8,500, it goes from 8,000 to 8,500 increase, give or take.
And the parking, thank you for the detail on the parking. So the 400 and, I'm checking my numbers here, the 497 spaces, I think. Those are all existing spaces, or any of those being built?
That
Or-
after everything gets built, that's gonna be what's left.
Okay.
Right now, under current conditions, there's more than that, because we're losing some where the building's going, but we're gonna reduce to a number that's still acceptable.
Thank you. I'm all
You're welcome.
Thank you.
set. Yes.
All right, and Liz?
Just a curiosity question. So this will be a drive-through building, the deliveries and everything
On the very east side,
on the
correct?
very east
Yep.
side.
Or
And
south side, I'm sorry.
okay, I'm all twisted around, but that's okay. And there's enough room and maneuverability to make the turns that are necessary to get in and everything over there. I haven't looked.
Yes, that's correct. We have run our turning templates for the types of trailers that are going to be delivering. And we're showing that everything's going to stay within the paved drive, and that's what we have to meet. But these templates are pretty conservative by nature. And we're very comfortable that they're going to be able to turn through without any issues hitting the building, nothing like that.
I hope it's a new building. You don't want to hit it.
Yeah, yeah.
Also don't want to take out the sidewalk, any of the trees, the plantings, any of that
Yep.
stuff. So, okay, I think all the rest of my questions were answered.
Thank you. And Matt?
Sure, just a quick one for me. So the exterior and the facade, is that more or less the same as the current existing building, or is it outside of the glass, I guess?
It's going to resemble the buildings to the east of it. It's going to depart from the architecture that's on building 2 now, and it's going to resemble it's actually a nicer palette on the 2 buildings to the east and north of it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And there's no new rooftop units or anything like that going on with this new?
There will be rooftop units, yeah, because I think, I don't know what the final count is, but there may be up to 7 rooftop units on it to support the the space in there, because it's a large space, so.
Got it. And are those covered, or if I'm standing on the ground or looking back from the building, how would that look? Would I see the, the air handler?
I haven't really taken a camera shot to see from like the road. If you see anything, it'll be the top of it. From the drive between the two buildings, because they are set back a ways. They're set back probably 40 feet or something like that from the edge of the building.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. So, well, just to piggyback, so no screening on top of the building?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm just thinking about, not just, but the whole water, right? And the comments from Connecticut Water. This is definitely an important site. You have the aquifer. The addition is significant, right? And we're talking about drinking water, right, in that area. And that's what I think Connecticut Water is probably concerned about. It sounds like it's warranted, but I guess the question for you, Shannon, is, do we have an engineer that deals with like hydrogeology, like we can tap into, or beyond a building engineer?
Other than our staff engineers, no.
Would it make sense to get an opinion?
With respect to the comment that came in from Connecticut Water and understanding the groundwater flow and the infiltration, I think for the most part, we can address it in-house between our town engineer, Mr. Sear, and myself.
All right,
Yeah, just bring up something on just a comment on the water.
sure.
For me, if Connecticut Water thinks there may be a water quality issue, I certainly would want that as part of the condition. Maybe that's what everyone's thinking too, but I don't know who has the final say amongst who decides is there backflow or not. But for me,
Right.
I would lean on the Connecticut Water sort of engineers to
So
decide
there's-
that.
Okay. There's a
Yeah,
couple
but
of, so at the end of the day, you folks have the final say. And this is your public
Yeah.
hearing for their application. You also do not have to close it tonight either, because this did just come in this afternoon from Connecticut Water. We can have a conversation with CT Water, do a conference call with them. We've done it in the past with an applicant,
Mhm.
and then be back in 2 weeks and be able to relay to you the items that were discussed in the resolution. So
Yeah, the only other
that rests with you.
Yeah, no, and we do have an inlands wetlands commission who deals with this probably a lot more than us. Would their
Wetlands, so wetlands already
did they know
has
this information?
reviewed.
But this is
Their
new.
their scope is very narrow, right?
It is,
Okay.
so wetlands is not gonna address this from an aquifer standpoint.
Okay,
They're looking
Okay,
at
good.
it solely from inland wetlands and a water course, and they've already reviewed the application and rendered a decision on it last Wednesday.
right. Okay,
You're good? Or just, good conversation, and we're gonna open this up to public and then
sure.
ask more.
And if I could also comment too, is,
Sure.
we had talked about earlier, I'm absolutely open to having a call with Connecticut Water and an engineer. And again, I'm not trying to be a bully by any means and say we're willing to put in a backflow, I'd mentioned. I think it is worth a discussion, but again, if it's a condition of approval, at the end of the day, we're gonna make the town engineer happy. We want the condition to be that we're gonna provide an updated site plan that meets all of his requirements to his satisfaction. So
Thank you.
certainly willing to do that.
Shannon, do you want to do the public comment, or do you want to ask your questions now? Or-
I know, we'll do public comment.
Okay, all right, so this is again a public hearing. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to speak in support of or opposition or has questions about this project, this is your time. Is anyone on the phone, Shannon? Or
If anyone has called in online, you can raise your hand using the feature in Zoom, and you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. It's all, there is no one online. And if there is anyone here in person, you can come up to the podium.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Thank you.
So
Please.
I live on One Blossom Road. On the Blossom
Excuse
Road.
me, you
Okay.
need to provide your name and address,
Sorry, yeah.
and you will address your comments to the commission. And then if there's any follow-up, then the applicant will have an opportunity to
Sure.
respond afterwards.
Right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi, thank you for calling me here. My name is Gopal Mirani, and I live at One Blossom Road, Hyde Road and Blossom Road, the corner of that. So when I heard about this, I didn't know much about what is the plan and all. So now I know much more after hearing all this. So my first question is whether this is a like change of some business model. Are you moving to some retail kind of business? Or my concern is basically, is it going to affect the traffic on the road? Because I'm right on that Hyde Road. So that's my main concern.
Go ahead.
Any other questions or comments for the commission?
And this concern is basically during the construction and after. I know that during construction, I think you're going to use the road, corporate road, the one on the south side.
Mhm.
But after the construction, how much is it going to affect on the traffic on the Hyde Road? Because I have seen during this January, February, I think some generator or something was running on the north side of the building. And I could hear the generator inside my house when everything is closed. So that's why it is a cause of concern.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. And the applicant will have a chance to respond. Anyone else?
Has anyone else called in, or I don't believe there's anyone else here with us. I don't believe we have anyone else online.
Okay.
So go ahead and have the applicant address those, and then I can hit mine.
Sure. Thanks.
Excellent. Again, for the record, Will Walter. So as to the question of what will be the increase in traffic? So what we sometimes do with site plan projects is we do a full traffic impact study. We take traffic counts, intersections at driveways and things like that. And then we project trip generation and what impact that's going to have on the intersections in terms of level of service. In this situation, we're adding a maximum of 15 employees. So a full traffic impact study was not warranted, but what we did do, and I put it in the development narrative, there's a section on traffic in there. We look at a trip generation manual called ITE trip generation manual. It's industry standard, and they look at all different kinds of uses. And then based upon certain factors, in this case, number of employees, they project what will be the impact during the peak hours. The peak hours are in the morning, I believe 7 to 9. In the afternoon, I think it's 3 to 5 or 4 to 6. And in this case, what our analysis has shown is that during the AM peak hour, we're going to have, which is a 2-hour period, we'll have 6 additional trips. So essentially 3 trips for an hour, which is, very insignificant. And then in the PM peak hour, which is, I believe, 3 to 5, there's 5 additional anticipated trips. So this project, after it's constructed, will have a negligible increase on traffic on the surrounding roads.
Want to do one more and then,
You want to ask one more? Okay.
yeah.
If,
Commissioner.
with the commissioners,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. So Shannon has a couple questions for the applicant, but commissioners, if you have any other questions before I close the public hearing after Shannon goes, this will be your chance. Patrick, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. No more questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mike?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Liz?
No, thanks.
Matt?
No questions.
Okay, go ahead, Shannon, and then I'll close the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So there was a comment about the truck delivery patterns, and there's the construction pattern, and then there's the after the facility is operating. And this was a comment that Mr. Seard had. This is the extent of the truck delivery pattern that we were provided in the application set, but it does appear that moving forward after construction, truck deliveries are anticipated to be received to and from Corporate Avenue. So that's one item that needs to be, I guess, clarified or addressed, because we did have concern about that in the routing of traffic and how that is going to work. Another question I had was with respect to the actual width of the bump out and what direction, and how much glass on the north side of the building. And we've got this one here. So this is saying that there is glass on the north side of the building, which item 6 of the planner's report note says confirm no windows on the north side of the building. So there's, we need clarification on the amount of windows on the north of the building and confirm which direction the building is bumping out and the width it's bumping out, so that we have a full understanding on that. And are the windows translucent? Or is there some type of screening on the window so that interior lights, particularly for the north side, are not shining out in the evening hours, understanding that this is a multi-shift facility, but there are neighbors to the north along Hyde Road, and we're trying to be mindful of those. We've had they are not here this evening. They have been in my office to discuss this at length. So it's lighting and noise to the north, and also the height of the rooftop units. If you don't know them, I would like a stipulation or consideration that the rooftop units will not exceed the height of any of the existing rooftop units that are on the building. Otherwise, screening will be required. So that's.
Thank you, Shannon. Are you going to respond today? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, regarding the traffic to Corporate Ave, I think that was probably confusion because the turning movement came out.
Mhm.
Nothing will be going in and out of Corporate Ave. It's all going to come off of the west where it's coming right now.
So you're going to be able to make this turn, you're going to be able to make the turn around the building and then the turn into the building.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The bump out is 4 feet to the north.
So it's 4 feet this
Right.
direction.
Correct.
So this sidewalk's being removed and some of the landscaping is going to have to be removed.
Correct. Well, we'll reroute it,
Reroute.
the sidewalk.
Okay.
There's still considerable amount of.
Oh, between okay.
Between the edge of the building and the sidewalk.
Okay. Again, we haven't seen it and none of the dimensions have been provided, so we didn't, so.
And we'll provide that to you for,
Okay,
further
but
comments.
tonight's your hearing.
Mhm.
So the commission needs to understand what they're approving. We've been of the impression that it was coming, the bump out was in this direction to the east based on the emails that have been sent to us.
So it
You're
is to
saying
the
it's out
north.
to the north
It's out to the north by 4 feet.
and there's room, so the sidewalk's not having to be rerouted and the landscaping that's to the north of the existing landscaping to the north of the building does not have to be removed.
It's just grass.
There's. Okay, well, there's trees in the area.
Those trees are on the other side of the sidewalk.
Correct. So that's what so these trees, this sidewalk, none of that is being removed.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Height of the rooftop units will not exceed the existing height. And then do you want to speak to the question about is the glass, there's a strip of glass on the north side. Is that translucent and can light shine out?
Again, the reason we put that strip in was to separate out the two different style materials between the two different buildings. At this point, being on the north facade, we weren't going to shade it. All the other windows will have shades because of the sunlight coming in. We can put a film on the glass if that would be desired. But the,
Something is going to be needed so that the lighting, I'm assuming this is multi-shift operation as other
is,
parts of the facility are.
Peter, will the paint shop be multi-shifts?
Paint shop, as far as I know, won't be multi-shift.
And that's right in the area the paint shop
Right
is?
now, the paint shop's only one shift.
So there'll be no lighting. You're going to guarantee during the public hearing, there's no lighting after, say, 9 o'clock that'll be coming through those windows. And if-
Verify if they leave lights on the paint
Okay.
shop right now.
Otherwise, then I'd suggest that there's some type of shade or covering on the windows so that it's not casting light out to the
The-
neighbors to the north.
The other thing that's a benefit is where the glass is in the plane of the existing building. And the new building is out to 4 feet. So it would be,
I understand.
Y-
It'd be blocked. You're only really going to see it from one direction, from the west and not from the east.
yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
This is a concern repeatedly with neighbors in the vicinity.
Okay.
So the glass on the rest of the building is fine. The glass to the north needs to have a treatment.
okay, so we can, you said we'll treat it.
We can talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
definitely treat it.
we can treat it either
A
with.
treatment or a shading that with louvers that are closed in the evening. Something.
So, yeah, we can do that.
So I think these were your questions. There's a lot of, as far as we know, right? And it is a public hearing.
If there's nobody else online and there's.
Okay. I'm just thinking out loud. So if we were to close the public hearing, but it sounds like there's still more information coming, or am what I'm a little nervous about is just statements made as far as we know. That's a little scary, right? A little misleading. Do we postpone it for 2 weeks and give the applicant a chance to call the water company with staff?
And again, that decision is yours. So we can, if you close the public hearing, you can't accept any new information.
Okay, so I don't. wanna
Okay,
do
so
that.
that's the bottom line. If the
Yep.
public hearing closes, you can't accept any new information. You can make it, so you can decide to make it a condition of approval that staff work through these comments with the applicant. Or if you want to hear all these answers yourself prior to making a decision, then you will have to leave this open.
Okay. That's where I'm leaning. I'm not the only one here. Patrick, Mike, well, all of you, how do you feel? Do you feel like you have enough information for, Patrick, do you feel like you have enough information to make a decision today?
Well, Mr. Walter said that he would put those backflow preventers, even though he doesn't believe they're needed and actually would not like them there, he said he will. If that's what town staff would like, right, in conjunction with speaking with Connecticut Water. So no, I'm comfortable with Connecticut Water and town staff discussing it. And with the fact that Mr. Walter said he has no issue with that. His professional opinion is that he doesn't think it's necessary, but he did state that he would put it in. He has no issue with that. So no, I am comfortable with that. In terms of, I do think there were a lot of questions, but they were answered. So I'm comfortable with voting.
Thank you. Mike?
I'm comfortable with town staff to address the stormwater. I just don't see 17 feet between the new bump out and the sidewalk though. I mean, I've been back there just as I'm sure you guys have. I just don't see 17 feet back there to not have to move a sidewalk. It would be nice to see it on plans, but I don't know if that's gonna change anything. I think that you know, if town staff is comfortable with, you know, you seeing the adjusted plans with the 5 feet, then I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, how about you, Scott?
Yeah, I don't, thanks, Ines. I don't feel like I have a strong grasp on the water issues tonight, given the late hour at which that information came in. And I'd like to look into that more. And I feel like information changed through the course of this hearing to a place where I'd like to see all those things addressed in 2 weeks.
Okay, and Liz?
I agree. I feel there are too many unknown variables that are not, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel I'm prepared to make the best decision I can make. So I'd like some more information, please.
And Matt?
Yeah, I agree with Liz and Scott on this one, you know, especially the water issue. I think a delay here to keep it open to make sure everyone's comfortable with that would be my preference.
Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna leave this meeting open
Mhm.
and reconvene in 2 weeks.
Yep. And Sandy, do you want a motion and a second to continue?
Make a motion.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion and a second to continue this public hearing.
I'll make the motion to continue this public hearing to the next. Is it?
Yeah, June 6th. No,
Is it? No,
No, it's
2
gonna be
weeks is
another
May
May 23rd.
23rd.
May 23rd?
I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing for the applicant Trump Inc. 1 Johnson Ave until the next town plan and zoning meeting on Monday, May 23rd.
And second, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think it was unanimous. So this matter will continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon, planners report?
I do not have anything.
No new,
No,
Okay.
no new anything. Happy to answer questions if anybody has anything for me, but no, there's nothing under planners report tonight.
okay. Questions for Shannon? No, we're good? Okay, all right, so we need to approve minutes. We need a motion and a second.
I'll wrap it up here. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 25th, 2022 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting.
All in favor, or second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, meeting is adjourned, 8:12.
Nice.
All right,
Nice job.
thank you.